The storm hit like a freight train barreling through the thin veil of autumn leaves, slamming me against a pine trunk so hard I tasted blood and pine sap. "Run!" he shouted over the roar, his voice cracking like thunder. But there was nowhere to go, only down into the churning ravine where the trail had vanished like a bad dream. In that split second, as lightning cracked the sky and his hand gripped mine, slick with mud and fear, I realized the stranger. This married man with eyes like shattered glass had just become the only thing tethering me to the world. I never hiked to escape. I hiked to remember. But on that October afternoon in the shadow of Colorado's maroon bells, with the aspen groves glowing like they were on fire, I'd laced up my boots to outrun the echo of my ex's voicemail. "Griffin, it's over. Don't call." The words had burrowed into my chest like ticks, and the only cure was the burn in my legs, the altitude thinning my breath until thoughts couldn't catch up. At 32, I'd built a life in Denver as a freelance photographer, chasing weddings and wildfires, framing other people's happy endings while mine frayed at the edges. Being gay in the heartland meant I'd learned to love quietly, fiercely, but always with one eye on the horizon, waiting for the next storm. The trailhead parking lot was empty when I started out, just my Subaru and the whisper of wind through the peaks. The bells loomed like silent guardians, their maroon striations a watercolor bleed against the bluebird sky. I'd mapped a moderate loop, 6 miles, nothing heroic, but the higher I climbed, the more the path felt like a vein pulsing with secrets. By mile 3, my water bottle was half gone, and the first fat drops of rain kissed my neck like warnings. That's when I saw him. He was ahead on a switchback, broad-shouldered in a faded Broncos hoodie, his pack slung low like it carried regrets. Mid-40s, maybe, with salt and pepper stubble and a gait that said he'd done this 100 times but today felt different. He paused at an overlook, hands on his knees, staring into the valley like it held answers. I almost passed without a word. Solitude's my sacrament. But something in the slump of his shoulders pulled me up short. "Beautiful, isn't it?" I said, nodding at the vista. Lame opener, but it was all I had. He straightened, turning with a half-smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah, like God's own postcard. You local? Denver-born and raised." "Griffin." I extended a hand, feeling the calluses on his palm when he shook. Mechanic's hands, or maybe a carpenter's. "Benjamin."
"Ben."
From just outside Boulder. First time up here solo. His voice was gravelly, laced with that Midwest twang folks never quite shake in Colorado. Up close, he had laugh lines etched deep, and a silver band on his left ring finger that caught the light like a dare. We fell into step, the trail narrowing to single file. Conversation started easy, weather, elk sightings, the best brewpubs in town. He was a high school history teacher, married 15 years to Sarah, 2 kids in elementary. "They're my anchors," he said, voice softening. "But sometimes, you need to cut loose, you know? Feel the pull of gravity without the weight." I nodded, though my anchors had all rusted through. We talked about the mountains' pull on men like us, how the wild strips you bear forces confession. By the time the sky bruised purple, we'd shared trail mix and stories. My string of heartbreaks, his quiet dissatisfactions with a life scripted by expectation. "Small-town roots," he admitted. "You don't question the playbook. Church on Sundays, mortgage on Mondays." But lately, he trailed off, kicking a rock into the underbrush. The rain started as a drizzle, then sheets that turned the path to slick clay. We pressed on, laughing at first, but the laughter died when thunder growled low. "Should turn back," I yelled, but the trail behind us was a ribbon of mud vanishing into fog. "Map says it's 2 miles to the ridge overlook. Shelter there." Ben pulled out his phone, but no signal. Classic Rockies roulette. We pushed higher, the world shrinking to wet boots and labored breaths. That's when the real storm unleashed. Winds howling like banshees. Hail pinging off rocks like buckshot. A gust caught my pack, yanking me sideways. I slipped, feet skidding on loose scree, and the world tilted. The ravine yawned below, a maw of jagged boulders and roaring creek. His hand shot out, fingers locking around my wrist. "Griffin." The pull was iron, hauling me back inch by agonizing inch as my boots scrabbled for purchase. Mud caked us both. His face was inches from mine, rain streaming like tears. For a heartbeat we hung there, me dangling, him braced against a sapling, until I scrambled up, collapsing against him. Our chests heaved in sync, his arms still around my waist, solid and unyielding. "Sorry?" I gasped, pulling away too quick, but his hand lingered a second longer, eyes searching mine with something raw, unspoken. We found a shallow cave under an overhang, barely enough for two. Stripped our soaked layers to thermals, wrung out socks by headlamp glow. The storm raged outside, a symphony of fury that made the world feel paper-thin. Huddled close for warmth, our knees brushed, and the air thickened with what-ifs. "Tell me something true," I said, voice barely above the din. "Why are you really out here alone?" He stared at the flickering light on the cave wall, shadows dancing like ghosts. "Sarah, she found out about the dreams I have, the ones that don't fit the frame." His voice cracked, and he rubbed his ring like it burned. 15 years, and I thought I could bury it. But you can't bury lightning, Griffin. It finds a way to strike. My heart stuttered. I'd known men like him, closeted by circumstance, loved by convention. And now, I'm lost, in every sense. He turned, his face inches away, breath warm against my cheek. The cave felt infinite and intimate, the storm our only witness. Our lips met tentative, then urgent. A spark in the dark that ignited everything we denied. It wasn't lust. It was recognition, two souls colliding in the chaos. Dawn broke gray and grudging, the storm's remnants dripping from branches like afterthoughts. We emerged bruised but alive, the trail a scarred memory below. Ben's kiss lingered on my skin, a secret branded in the chill. "We need to get down," he said, voice husky. Sarah's probably called search and rescue by now. Guilt flickered in his eyes, but so did hunger. A man tasting freedom for the first time. We navigated the descent carefully, hands brushing as we steadied each other over roots and streams. Conversation turned lighter, laced with subtext. Shared glances that promised more, words that danced around the edges of what we'd started. By midday, we hit the trailhead. My Subaru waited like a faithful dog, but Ben's truck was absent. No sign of his family. Relief washed over him, then wariness. She thinks I'm at a conference in Denver. One more lie in the stack. I leaned against my car, heart pounding. "This doesn't have to end here, Ben. We could." His phone buzzed to life, signal snapping back like a whip. Texts flooded in. "Where are you? Kids miss you. Love you." Sarah's words, a tether yanking him back. He typed furiously, face paling. "Storm knocked out power at home. She's worried sick." The kiss goodbye was fierce, hidden behind my open door. His hands framing my face, mine clutching his hoodie like a lifeline. "Griffin," he whispered, forehead to mine. It's real. But I have to go back. For them." I nodded, throat tight. "I get it. But if you ever need to get lost again." He smiled, sad and electric. "I'll know where to find you." He drove off in a borrowed ranger's truck, his wrecked by a fallen branch, and I sat there until the dust settled, the taste of him lingering like wild mint. That night, back in my loft apartment overlooking the Platte, I scrolled his number in my phone, thumb hovering. We texted late. "Safe? Yeah. Thinking of you." Simple words, but they wove a web between us, fragile as spider silk. Weeks blurred into a clandestine rhythm. Ben snuck away for errands. Coffee in hidden boulder cafes, hikes on lesser trails where our hands could link without eyes. He was a revelation. Quoting Whitman over IPAs, laughing with a boy's abandon, touching me like I was scripture. "You've woken something," he'd murmur, fingers tracing my jaw. I didn't know I was asleep, but shadows crept in. Sarah's suspicions sharpened. His lies grew thorns. One night, after a stolen evening in my bed, bodies entwined in quiet worship, not frenzy. He confessed over dawn coffee. She asked about the hiking gear in the wash. I said it was a buddy's. God, Griffin, the guilt. I pulled him close, our mugs clinking like toasts to the damned. Then leave the playbook. Be you. His eyes darkened. It's not that simple. The kids, Emma's got that science fair coming up. Jake's soccer. They're innocent in this. Love, I learned, is a storm you can't outrun. It builds in whispers, crests in tempests. Ours did, fierce and unrelenting, until the night it broke us. File 1 end, word count, 1002. It started with a call at 2 a.m. Ben's voice a jagged whisper through the line. Griffin, I told her. About us. She's packing my bags. My world tilted. The loft's exposed beams suddenly oppressive. I bolted upright, sheets tangling like accusations. What? Ben. Slow down. Where are you? Pulling over on 36. Can't drive like this. She found the texts, the ones from last week. Can't wait to get lost with you again. Jesus, I was careless. Heart hammering. I threw on jeans and a jacket. Keys jangling like alarm bells. Stay put. I'm coming. The drive to Boulder was a blur of sodium lights and regret. What if this was the end before we'd truly begun? I found him on a shoulder overlook, truck idling, his silhouette slumped against the dash. He slid into my passenger seat, face haggard, a duffel at his feet. She screamed, Griffin, called me every name but my own, said the kids would hate me. I gripped the wheel, fighting the urge to floor it west, toward canyons where no one could follow. What do you want to do? He laughed, bitter and broken. Hell if I know. Run? Hide? 15 years, and it's ash in my mouth. His hand found mine, cold but seeking. But you're the only thing that feels like home. We ended up at a no-tell-motel off the interstate, the kind with neon flickering like a migraine. Room 7 smelled of stale smoke and regret. But in that narrow bed, we clung like survivors. No grand declarations, just quiet unraveling, his head on my chest, my fingers carding through his hair. I love you, he murmured into the dark, the words a detonation soft as snowfall. I love you too, I echoed, and meant it down to the marrow. Morning brought clarity's cruel edge. Ben called Sarah, voice steady as rebar. I need space to figure this out. For all of us. She hung up mid-sentence, the silence louder than any curse. He moved into my loft temporarily, a trial by fire. Days were a fever dream. Him subbing at a rival school, me shooting a corporate gig downtown. Evenings lost in takeout and tangled limbs. We cooked spaghetti carbonara one night, flour dusting his nose like stars, and he danced me around the kitchen to Springsteen, off-key and joyous. This is living, he said, spinning me under the pendant light. Not existing, but cracks spiderwebbed. His phone buzzed incessantly. Sarah's voicemails a litany of pleas and barbs. Think of the kids. This is a phase. Jake's school called once. Ben choked up reading the message about a parent-teacher night he'd miss. I'm failing them, he confessed one whiskey-soaked evening, staring at the city lights like they judged him. You're choosing truth, I countered, pulling him from the window. That's not failure. That's courage. Yet doubt festered. I saw it in the way he'd twist his bare ring finger, a phantom itch. Holidays loomed. Thanksgiving with its pilgrim myths of reinvention. And Ben grew distant, pacing like a caged wolf. Emma drew me a picture yesterday, mailed it to the school. Daddy's adventure. What am I turning into? The breaking point came mid-November, frost glazing the front range like sugar. Ben had a custody consult downtown. I was editing photos in the loft when my phone lit up. Not his number, but an unknown. I answered on instinct. Griffin? This is Sarah. Her voice was steel wrapped in silk, laced with that boulder polish. We need to talk. Coffee. Now. Against every gut scream, I agreed. The cafe was a hipster haunt near Pearl Street. Exposed brick, pour-overs steaming like peace offerings. She arrived punctual, blonde bob impeccable, yoga pants screaming quiet affluence. Mid-30s, beautiful in a way that demanded notice, but her eyes were red-rimmed, fury banked like embers. "You're him," she said flatly, sliding into the booth. No preamble, just accusation. "The one he's throwing everything away for." I swallowed, ordering black coffee to buy time. "Sarah, save it. I know your type. The thrill, the escape. But Ben? He's not like that. He's steady. Devoted." Her voice cracked, and she gripped her mug like a talisman. 15 years, Griffin. Vows. Children who ask why daddy doesn't come home. You think a few hikes and texts erase that? Guilt twisted like a knife. Not for loving him, but for the collateral. I never asked him to choose. He chose himself. She laughed, sharp as shattered glass. Himself? Or you? Look, I get it. The mountains, the drama, it's seductive. But love isn't a trail you blaze and abandon. It's the long haul, the mud and monotony. She leaned in, voice dropping to venom. "Walk away. Let me fix this. For the kids." I left that cafe hollowed, her words echoing like accusations in a canyon. Ben was waiting when I got home, takeout burritos cooling on the counter. "How'd the consult go?" I asked, forcing normalcy. He shrugged, avoiding my eyes. "Paperwork. Lots of it." Then softer. "You okay? You look wrecked." The lie burned, but I swallowed it. That night, as we lay entwined, his breathing evened into sleep, but mine raced. Sarah's plea nod, "Walk away." Was I the villain in their story? The catalyst crumbling a family's foundation? The storm we dodged in the bells returned metaphorically, brewing in silences and sidelong glances. Ben threw himself into lesson plans, subbing extra shifts, while I buried in edits, framing strangers' joy to ignore our fraying edges. One evening, he came home late, smelling faintly of her perfume. A ghost hug from a drop-off, he swore. Emma wanted a story. I read Where the Wild Things Are. She hugged me so tight. Jealousy spiked, irrational and ugly. "And Sarah? Did she hug you too?" He recoiled, hurt flashing. "What the hell, Griffin? It's not. Forget it." I stormed to the balcony, city sprawl mocking our small drama. He followed, hands gentle on my shoulders. "Talk to me, please." The dam broke. She called, met me for coffee, said I'm the phase, the mistake, that you're steady, devoted to them. His face drained of color. "You didn't tell me. Would it change anything?" I whirled, voice rising. "Or are you already halfway out the door?" "Ben, back to the playbook, the vows, the life that fits." He grabbed my arms, eyes wild. "No. God, no. But it's not black and white. I love you, fiercely, stupidly, but they're my blood. I can't just erase them." The fight escalated, words like hail. My accusations of cowardice, his defenses laced with grief. "You think this is easy? Waking up to your face instead of theirs? But I chose this. Us. Then act like it." I shouted, the neighbor's lights flickering on like judgmental stars. He stormed out, duffel in hand. Not to her, he swore later, but to a buddy's couch in Longmont. Days stretched into a void, texts unanswered, my loft echoing with ghosts. I hiked alone, the bells calling like sirens, but the trails felt haunted now. Every switchback a reminder of that first grip, that cave-born spark. On the fourth day, despair crested. I drove to the overlook where we'd met that night, the city a glittering accusation below. Rain slicked the windshield, blurring neon into tears. My phone buzzed, "Ben. Meet me at the trailhead." Maroon bells. Dawn. Heart in throat, I went. The lot was empty, mist cloaking the peaks like a shroud. He waited by the signpost, bundled against the chill, face gaunt but resolute. No duffel, just him, raw, real. "I almost went back," he admitted, voice rough. "Packed the truck, drove halfway to Boulder. But every mile I saw your face, felt your hand in that ravine." He stepped closer, breath fogging between us. "Sarah and I talked, really talked. She's filing, amicable as we can manage. Joint custody. It's going to hurt like hell, but it's honest." Relief crashed over me, mingled with sorrow for the fractures. And us? He cupped my face, thumbs brushing my cheeks. If you'll have me, the whole mess. The dad weekends, the holidays split like fault lines. I love you, Griffin, not as escape, as anchor. Our kiss was salt and redemption, the mountains bearing witness. Dawn gilded the bells, turning maroon to gold, a fragile promise. But life, that American beast, doesn't yield easy. The months that followed were a gauntlet. Court dates where Ben's voice trembled reading custody terms, Emma's tear-streaked questions over FaceTime. Why can't we all live together, Daddy? Jake's sullen silences masking confusion. Sarah moved to a condo near the schools, her yoga classes a new armor. We nodded civility at pickups, but the air crackled with unspoken barbs. Ben and I built tentatively, therapy sessions in a Pearl Street office, where a soft-spoken shrink unpacked our baggage. My fear of abandonment rooted in a father's early exit, his closet forged in Bible Belt echoes. We hike together now, packs lighter, hands linked openly on easier trails. Look at us, he joked, snapping a selfie against the skyline. Two fools conquering the wild. Yet betrayal's shadow lingered, not from Sarah, but within. One spring evening, after a brutal mediation where she accused him of abandoning the family for a fling, Ben unraveled. Whiskey bottle half gone, he paced the loft. What if she's right? What if this us is just midlife rebellion? I miss them every damn day, Griffin. The chaos, the noise. I froze, mug halfway to my lips. Is that what I am? Rebellion. He stopped, horror dawning. No. God, no. Your salvation. But the doubt seeded, and in the quiet hours it grew. The climax hit like lightning revisited July 4th, Independence Day irony thick as gunpowder. We hosted a cookout at Washington Park. Ben grilling brats, me mixing margaritas, his kids arriving wide-eyed and wary. Emma warmed quick, braiding wildflowers into my hair with giggles. Jake hung back, kicking a soccer ball against the pavilion like it owed him money. Fireworks burst overhead, crimson and sapphire. But midway through, Sarah appeared at the park's edge. Unannounced, face a mask of controlled fury. Ben, we need to talk. Now. She'd seen the invite on his calendar, misinterpreted our blended normalcy as mockery. He handed me the tongs, following her to a shadowed bench. I watched from afar, kids munching sparklers, heart pounding. Their words carried on the breeze. Parading them in front of our children? Have you no shame? Ben's retort low, heated. This is my life now, Sarah. Respect it. She slapped him, crack echoing like a starter pistol. He didn't flinch, but when he returned, a red welt blooming on his cheek, something in him fractured. The kids saw, Emma bursting into tears, Jake bolting to his mom. You're ruining everything, he yelled at Ben, voice cracking with preteen rage. The night dissolved in chaos. Sarah scooping the kids, peeling out in her SUV. Ben collapsing onto the picnic blanket, fireworks mocking his sobs. I held him as the sky thundered applause, his body shaking. I can't do this. The hurt. It's too much. Panic clawed my throat. You can. We can. Therapy time. He pulled away, eyes hollow. Maybe not. Maybe I need to step back. For them. For me. Betrayal hit like a gut punch. Not his words, but the truth in them. In loving him, I'd unleashed a tempest that drowned us all. So that's it? We get lost. Find each other. Just to lose it all. He touched my face, tender as a bruise. I don't know, but I won't destroy them to save myself. He left that night, crashing at a friend's again. Days bled into weeks of radio silence. My texts blue-ticked ghosts. I hiked the bells alone, the ravine a scar, our cave a hollow echo. Sarah's words haunted, walk away, but walking felt like amputation. The turning point came unbidden. A package on my doorstep, no return address. Inside, Ben's old Broncos hoodie, the one from that first hike, folded with a note. Wore this today. Smells like you. Miss the wild. B. I drove to Boulder unthinking, pounding his doorbell until he answered. disheveled, unshaven, but alive. Griffin? What? I thrust the hoodie at him. You don't get to ghost me. Not after everything. He sagged against the frame, pulling me inside. The condo was sparse, kid drawings taped to the fridge like talismans. I tried going back, he confessed over weak coffee. Dinner with Sarah and the kids last week. Felt like wearing someone else's skin. Stifling. And now, fighting for more custody. Therapy for all of us, family sessions. She's thawing slowly. But me? I realized I can't breathe without you. His hand covered mine, steady. If you'll wait, help me build this right. Not perfect, but whole. Tears pricked, relief a flood. Waiting's my specialty. As long as we hike the long trails together. We did, that summer and fall, blended barbecues where Jake taught me penalty kicks. Emma sketched us as mountain explorers. Sarah and I shared a tentative truce over playground coffee. Her new boyfriend a gentle accountant. My lens capturing her kids' grins without resentment. Ben thrived, unshackled. Publishing a memoir on queer history teachers. His voice a beacon for hidden hearts. One crisp November dawn. A year to the day, we returned to the Bells. Snow dusted the peaks, the trail a white ribbon of possibility. At the overlook, he dropped to one knee. Not with a ring, but a simple leather cord threaded with a maroon stone. No playbook this time, he said, voice thick. Just us. Promise. I pulled him up, kissing him fierce against the wind. Promise. Forever lost. Forever found. In America's vast wild, we'd carved our path. Not straight, not easy, but ours. Human, flawed, enduring. The mountains whispered approval, and for the first time, I believed in happy, messy, hard one, but true. 2 years on, and the scars have faded to stories we tell over campfires. Ben's dramatic slap from Sarah now a punchline at custody handoffs. My panic attack hikes a badge of growth. We've bought a fixer-upper in Golden. Foothills kissing our backyard. Where Emma's science projects clutter the garage and Jake's soccer cleats track mud across the porch. Ben's memoir hit shelves last spring. A quiet ripple in the pond of gay lit. Earning him TEDx invites and emails from teachers whispering me too. I shoot less weddings now, more landscapes. Framing the raw beauty of us against the Rockies. Prints hanging in local galleries like love letters to the wild. But humanism isn't a tidy bow. It's the daily grind of grace. Ben still wakes some nights, staring at the ceiling, ghosts of guilt parading like old films. Do you ever wonder? He murmurs, hand seeking mine in the dark. If we dodged a bullet or just traded one storm for another? I roll to face him, tracing the lines fate etched around his eyes. Both, and neither. We're here, aren't we? That's the win. Sarah's woven into our tapestry now. Brunch dates where she teases Ben about his hippie boyfriend. Her accountant partner grilling veggies with a precision that amuses us all. The kids shuttle seamlessly. Emma's bat mitzvah, a nod to her mom's heritage. Where Ben and I stood beaming in the back row. Jake's first crush confessed over pizza in our kitchen. No utopias, just the American dream reimagined. Divorce as evolution, not erasure. Our love deepened in the quiet victories. The time Ben officiated a colleague's wedding, voice steady as he bound 2 men under Colorado sun. My exhibit opening, his hand in mine as critics murmured approval. We hike weekly, packs heavier with kid snacks, but the trails teach patience. Switchbacks that test, vistas that reward. One evening last fall, as leaves blazed crimson, we crested a ridge near Brainerd Lake. Ben paused, pack slipping to the ground, and pulled a small box from his pocket. Not flashy, just a hammered silver band, simple as our start. Marry me, he said, not a question but a vow. Not for show. For us, the mess and the magic. Tears blurred the alpine glow. Yes? I breathed, slipping it on beside my own. No knee, no fanfare. Just 2 men, wind-whipped and whole, sealing promises against the eternal. The ceremony was ours. A backyard affair under string lights, Emma scattering petals with a grin, Jake best man in a tie he tugged incessantly. Sarah toasted us with champagne flutes, her eyes soft. To new trails, she said, and we all drank. the clink a harmony of healing. In the end, getting lost wasn't ruin, it was revelation. We emerged changed, not unbroken but reforged. Griffin, the photographer who learned to pose his own heart. Benjamin, the teacher who schooled himself in authenticity. America's heartland, with its contradictions and compassions, cradled us, reminding that love, like the mountains, endures erosion, storms, and time. It's not the peak that defines you, but the climb, hand in scarred hand, toward whatever light breaks through. And so we walk on, forever tethered, forever free.